You got to make sure you don't have a weak mind. It's easy to overlook, but it's one of the most dangerous traps in life. We can be so concerned with physical strength, with how we look on the outside, that we forget the inside is where the real battle happens. And if you're not careful, if you're not deliberate in training your mind, you'll develop habits that weaken you from within. You won't even realize it until you're facing a challenge and your mind gives up before your body ever does. The first habit that will ruin all chances at success is complaining. Now, complaining is one of those things that seems harmless. In fact, it's so common that we don't even notice when we're doing it. We complain about the weather, the government, our neighbors, our jobs. But here's the thing. Every time you complain, you focus on the problem, not the solution. And where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if you're always pointing out what's wrong, what's not working, you're draining your mental energy. You're programming yourself to see life in terms of obstacles instead of opportunities. It's like you're giving yourself permission to stay stuck. Complaining is a passive activity. It gives the illusion of action, but it doesn't change a thing. It weakens your resolve because it reinforces a mindset of helplessness. Strong people don't waste their time on complaints. They look at the same situation, the same problem, and they ask, what can I do about it? That's a shift in mentality that builds strength. Next, stop making excuses. Now, excuses, they feel comfortable, don't they? They let us off the hook. We say things like, I didn't have enough time, or I don't have the right resources, or it's not my fault. But I'm telling you something important. Excuses are dangerous because they give away your power. When you make an excuse, you're saying the control is out of your hands, that something external is responsible for your failure. You're placing the blame somewhere else. And here's what happens over time. You stop believing in your own ability to change your circumstances. You convince yourself that your situation is fixed, that you're a victim of life instead of the creator of it. But strong people, they take full responsibility. They know that life isn't always fair, but they also know that they're the ones steering the ship, no matter the storm. If you get in the habit of making excuses, you're weakening your mind. You're training your mind to find reasons why you can't, instead of finding ways that you can. Next, stop comparing yourself to others. You start measuring your worth against someone else's success. But I'm telling you, the moment you start comparing yourself to others, you lose sight of your own journey. You see, everyone is on their own path. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. But when you constantly compare, you're always chasing something that's outside of yourself. And that's exhausting. You'll never be satisfied because there will always be someone who's ahead of you, someone who's doing things differently or seemingly better. Mental strength comes from focusing on your own progress. The only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. When you compare yourself to others, you're distracted from your own growth, and that weakens you. It erodes your self-confidence because you're playing by someone else's rules instead of your own. And I'm telling you, no one ever became strong by following someone else's path. Next, don't try to be perfect. Now, being perfect is one of those things that sounds good in theory. You want everything to be just right. You have high standards. But here's where it becomes a problem. Perfectionism is rooted in fear. The fear of making a mistake. The fear of being less than perfect. And when you're afraid, you hesitate. You wait, you plan and plan, but you never act. You never take that first step because you're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect you. But I'm telling you, perfection doesn't exist. Life is messy. Success is messy. And if you wait for perfection, you'll never get started. You'll be stuck in a loop of inaction. Mental strength comes from embracing imperfection. It comes from knowing that you're going to make mistakes, that things aren't always going to go according to plan. And that's okay. You learn from it. You adjust. You grow. But if you demand perfection from yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're putting an impossible standard in front of you. And when you inevitably fall short, you'll feel defeated. Strong people, they understand that progress is better than perfection. They know that it's better to take imperfect action than to take no action at all. Because action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Perfectionism, on the other hand, keeps you stuck, and over time it makes you mentally fragile. Next, you got to stop living in the past. We've all done it. We replay old memories, old mistakes, old hurts, thinking that maybe if we go over them enough times, we can change what happened. But here's the truth. The past is gone. It's done. And the more time you spend living in the past, the less energy you have for the present. The past can be a heavy weight to carry, especially if it's filled with regret or pain. But strong people, they know that the past is a place of reference, not residence. You can visit it, you can learn from it, but you don't live there. When you dwell on the past, you're giving up control over your present. You're letting old wounds dictate your future. And that weakens you because you're constantly looking backward instead of forward. It's like trying to drive a car while only staring in the rearview mirror. You're going to crash. The past has lessons to teach, but it's the present where you apply those lessons. If you're stuck in what was, you'll never move toward what could be. Next, stop looking for validation from the people around you. We all want to be liked, appreciated, and validated by others. It's part of being human. But if you're constantly looking for approval from others, you're putting your sense of self-worth in their hands. And that's dangerous because people's opinions change. One day they like you, the next day they don't. If you tie your confidence to what others think of you, you'll always be at their mercy. True mental strength comes from within. It comes from knowing your own worth, regardless of whether others recognize it. When you're always seeking external validation, you're weakening your own sense of self. You're telling yourself that you're only as good as other people say you are. But strong people, they validate themselves. They set their own standards. They know that their value doesn't depend on external applause. They don't need someone else to tell them they're on the right path because they trust themselves. The more you rely on others for validation, the more you weaken your ability to stand strong in who you are. Next, don't give up too soon. Life is full of challenges, full of setbacks. That's a given. But here's where mental strength comes into play. Strong people don't quit when things get tough. They don't give up at the first sign of difficulty. Weakness, though, it makes you fold when things don't go as planned. It makes you think, maybe this wasn't meant to be. But the truth is, anything worth having is going to require perseverance. It's going to require pushing through the hard times. Weak people quit too early. They stop just when they're about to break through. Mental toughness is built by staying in the game, by weathering the storms, by refusing to give up when everything in you says it would be easier to walk away. Next, don't get too comfortable. We live in a world where convenience is king. We have technology that makes life easier, services that cater to our every need, and it's tempting to want to avoid discomfort at all costs. But here's the problem. Growth happens in discomfort. You don't build mental strength sitting in a place of ease. When you avoid discomfort, when you choose the path of least resistance, you're missing out on the very experiences that would toughen you up. You're shrinking your comfort zone instead of expanding it. And life doesn't reward the people who stay comfortable. It rewards those who are willing to endure discomfort in the pursuit of something greater. Think about it. Any worthwhile goal, any significant achievement, it requires stepping into the unknown, pushing through challenges, and facing fears. But if you get into the habit of avoiding discomfort, you'll never get there. You'll settle. You'll stay in your safe little bubble. And over time, that weakens you mentally. It makes you fragile. Because life isn't always going to be comfortable. And if you haven't trained yourself to handle discomfort, you'll crumble when real adversity strikes. Strong people don't avoid discomfort. They seek it out. They know that discomfort is a sign that they're growing, that they're pushing their limits. It's in those moments of discomfort that you discover what you're truly capable of. But if you make it a habit to avoid anything that makes you feel uneasy, you'll never tap into your full potential. Next, don't hold grudges. Now, this is a tough one because when someone wrongs us, it's natural to feel hurt, to feel angry. And sometimes we hold on to that anger, thinking that by doing so, we're punishing the other person. But here's the truth. Holding a grudge doesn't hurt the other person. It hurts you. It's like carrying a heavy weight on your back that grows heavier with time. And the longer you hold on to it, the more it drags you down. Mental strength isn't about ignoring what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing to let go so that you can move forward. When you hold on to grudges, you're letting the past control you. You're allowing someone else's actions to dictate your emotions and your peace of mind. And that weakens you because it keeps you stuck in a negative state of mind. Strong people forgive, not because the other person necessarily deserves it, but because they deserve peace. They understand that forgiveness is a gift they give themselves. It's not about forgetting or condoning what happened. It's about freeing up mental and emotional energy that could be used for more productive things. But when you hold a grudge, when you let that anger fester, it saps your mental strength. It consumes you, and it leaves little room for anything else. So, if you want to be mentally strong, you've got to learn the art of letting go. Not for their sake, but for yours. Next, stop doubting yourself. We've all had moments of doubt. Those moments where you think, can I really do this? Am I good enough? What if I fail? But if you let doubt take over, if it becomes a habit, it will sabotage every effort you make. You see, doubt is like a virus that spreads. It starts with one little seed. Maybe someone said something negative about you, or maybe you didn't get the results you wanted. And from there, it grows. It makes you second guess yourself. It makes you hesitate. And in that hesitation, you lose momentum. You lose confidence. And before you know it, you're paralyzed. Stuck in a loop of questioning your abilities and your worth. Strong people aren't free from self-doubt. They have those moments too. But here's the difference. They don't let it stop them. They recognize the doubt for what it is. A fleeting thought, not a permanent truth. They push through it, knowing that action is the antidote to doubt. The more you take action, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable, and the less power doubt has over you. But if you get into the habit of feeding your self-doubt, of giving it too much attention, it will weaken you. It will stop you from trying new things, from taking risks, from stepping into the unknown. And if you never step into the unknown, you never grow. You've got to learn to quiet that voice in your head that says you can't, and replace it with one that says you can. Because the truth is, you're stronger than you think. But you'll never know that if you keep letting self-doubt call the shots. Next, don't focus too much on things you can't control. There's a lot in life that's outside of our control. The weather, the economy, other people's actions, and even some of the circumstances we find ourselves in. But here's the thing. If you spend your mental energy worrying about things you can't control, you're wasting that energy. You're weakening yourself because you're putting your focus on things that are outside of your influence. And the more you do that, the more you feel powerless. Like life is something that happens to you instead of something you create. Strong people focus on what they can control, their thoughts, their actions, their responses to whatever life throws at them. They don't waste time or energy trying to change things that are beyond their reach. They accept what they can't control and then direct their energy toward what they can. That's where mental strength is built. But when you get into the habit of obsessing over things that are outside of your control, you weaken your resolve. You're trying to fight battles that aren't yours to fight. And in doing so, you're draining yourself mentally. It's like trying to push a boulder uphill. It's exhausting, and it doesn't get you anywhere. So if you want to strengthen your mind, if you want to become the kind of person who can face anything with confidence and resilience, you've got to let go of what you can't control. Focus on what's within your power. Focus on your mindset, your actions, your habits. That's where your strength lies. That's where you have control. And that's how you build a mind that's tough, resilient, and unshakable. Every one of these habits I've talked about today, whether it's complaining, making excuses, seeking validation, or focusing on things outside your control, each one erodes your mental strength little by little. But the good news is, just as you can weaken your mind, you can also strengthen it. It's all about awareness and action. The more you become aware of these habits, the more you can catch yourself in the act and choose a different path. And the more you practice mental toughness, the stronger you become. Life will always throw challenges your way. That's a given. But whether those challenges break you or build you up depends on the habits you cultivate.